新年快乐 or Happy New Year. So this Sunday is the beginning of Chinese New Year, the year of the rabbit. And in light of this special time of the year, I want to talk about what's happening in China. But before I do, my name is Steve and welcome to our channel where I and sometimes others talk about all things related to global missions, especially when it's related to the gospel deprived. China is a beautiful country. The people are wonderful. In fact, it was the first foreign country I ever stepped foot in and the only one I've ever lived in so far. It was in China where God forever altered the trajectory of my life. And with so many powerful moments in my life taking place in China, it is hands down my favorite foreign country to be in. As you can probably imagine, China is a place I wish everyone could visit. There's so many sights to see, food to taste, people to meet. This is part of why the last few years has been so challenging for me, not knowing when I'll get to return. But despite how I feel and despite all the news we hear coming out of China, God continues to do an amazing work throughout that land. As you have probably already heard, China has been under a zero COVID policy. In short, life became very difficult, extremely unpredictable for many. But despite all that transpired in China over the past 3 years, China's zero COVID policy did not hinder God's work at all. In fact, the opposite transpired. Now, yes, churches were forced online, and not just for a few months or 1 year. Many of them are still online. Christians found it more difficult to fellowship in person with one another. Yet within this unwanted reality, many believers found that the hearts of many non-believers became sensitive to the gospel at a degree they hadn't seen in a long time. For example, one believer recently said that young people around him are more open to the gospel today than they have ever been. And that's a strong statement for me because I remember by experience how open they were a few decades ago. This right here gives evidence that there is no lockdown, restriction, or quarantine that can keep the gospel from moving forward. And that is exactly how powerful our God is. Now granted, my heart does not rejoice that the people of China experienced what they did. And I thank God that those restrictions are now gone. But God has a way of using difficulty to open hearts and draw people to Himself that no experience can compare to. I've said this before, one of the characteristics that I love about the church in China is their adaptability. When trouble or hardship comes, they adapt. They adapt so the gospel can continue to move forward. They adapt, figure out how to serve and make Christ known, and they go for it. We all have much to learn from our brothers and sisters in China, and one way you can do that is to visit chinasource.org. China Source has many incredible articles and resources from the Chinese church as well as from non-Chinese who serve alongside them. It will be well worth your time to check out their website, whether you're involved in China right now, plan to be, or not at all. I'll see you next time.